All users, Cindy. Thank you.
Good noon, everybody, or just afternoon. If you need captioning, it's available on the Zoom CC button. And as you heard, we're recording the session. It'll be available in 5 to 10 days. And then if you have a question, you can use the chat tool and we'll address those at the end. Here's our agenda. First, we're going to do introductions. I'm Cindy McCartney. I am with the CCC Technology Center. I've been with the Technology Center for close to 17 years now. And I have been managing this broadband infrastructure upgrade project for the CENIC circuits. Go ahead, Ken.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ken Roberts. I'm the project manager at CENIC for the community college segment. I've been with CENIC for almost 1 year, and I transitioned to the community college segment around January, February.
Hello, everyone. My name is Timothy Chia. I'm the manager of the program management office here at CENIC and do work closely with Ken and Cindy and her team.
Okay, first thing we're going to do is a CENIC overview. Then I'm going to talk about our tech center role in the project. And finally, the services available to the colleges. And then we'll have some Q&A with CENIC. So that's when we'll answer all the questions is at the end. So CENIC's a 501c3, and they are the Corporation for Network Initiatives in California. They have the mission of supporting the CCCs in K-20, as well as research institutions and libraries with high bandwidth network service. CENIC's mission directly supports the missions of all of its associate members. And then they provide opportunities for innovation in teaching and learning and research through the use of their network. CENIC is governed by representatives of its associate member institutions, and you can see that those are primarily K-20 with some research institutions as well, and California libraries. The institution members each institution has members on the CENIC board. You can see there who ours are, and the board representation means that we, the California community colleges, have a vote and a voice on the board. This is CENIC's backbone. You can see that 20 million people use that backbone every day, and they've been serving California for 25 plus years. Their newest backbone spur from Corning and Chico to Palo Cedro is important for some of our colleges that are farther out here. And they serve the vast majority of all of our students, staff, and educators in the state. The backbone has 8,000 miles of CENIC managed fiber and connections in 58 counties. And then CENIC contributes more than 100 million to the California economy. They really are a great partner. Here you can see the timeline for the 800 times backbone bandwidth increase between 2003 and 2023. And then their projected bandwidth increase to 640 terabytes per second between 2023 and 2043. That's where they're hoping to go. And then you can see that our research communication leverage our dollars are leveraged among the K-20 to get increased bandwidth over the years to the members at a great cost. CENIC continually makes upgrades and has made upgrades throughout the years, and you can see that they're continuing to do so. They have plans to do so. They also participate in many statewide projects, and they have worked with the CPUC to get us discounts on all of our circuits. So CENIC's, the offerings from CENIC, which is the high-speed internet access, collaboration and networking, cloud services, cybersecurity, and technical support, all support our students and allow our students to be successful. Our role primarily is management of scope, schedule, and budget. We do make payments for all the equipment, the routers, the monthly recurring costs for service, and annual maintenance on all of the equipment. We maintain eligibility with the CPUC to get those 50% discount on our circuit service, the monthly recurring. We coordinate with CENIC and the colleges to get those upgrades started, and we collaborate with them in the ordering and installations to make sure that everything's going smoothly. We maintain the network topology maps for all of our districts, and we prioritize redundancy and diversity when we're helping you build out your network and upgrade your circuits. And then, of course, we do all the reporting that's necessary. So in 21-22, we had a plan of 51 circuits. 37 of those are already in production, with 7 in implementation, and then 7 more that were canceled. This year, we have 40 of our 62 in implementation, and that number of 62 has grown. We originally started with 56, I believe, and plans change as they go. 6 of those are in production right now, and we have 13 that need to be ordered and just 3 that were canceled. And then for next year, we have 56 circuits planned as of today. 5 of those are upgrades to 10 gig for colleges that we haven't met with or served yet. And then 51 are new 1 gigs for center sites. As I mentioned, CENIC provides a competitive advantage in the global marketplace to education and research communities. You can see that over the years, we have increased the number of circuits that we have in production. And in addition, the bandwidth of those circuits has increased drastically as well. When I first started, most of our circuits were just flipping over from T1 to DS3, and they were pretty expensive. And we only had about 125 to 150 at that time. And now we're almost to 350 circuits, and the cost is drastically reduced. CENIC does do competitive bidding on our behalf, on behalf of all of its members, and they have a great rate. And we find that other carriers that are not the main carrier that they work with are becoming much more competitive as well. So beyond 23-24 will be our last year to continue the upgrade project and finalize all of the remaining circuits that we have in the plan. We plan to go back and look at diversity. We're finding that there is a lack of true diversity in certain areas, and in some places there isn't good access. But SB 156, the state has made an investment of $6 billion in broadband infrastructure. So we're watching those projects where they're building out middle and last mile and making a plan so that we can look back and see which college districts may not have good diversity or may have poor reliability. And we'll go back and make a list and get those colleges on our roster to look at again in the future, probably 24, 25, after we've gotten this year's circuits underway. So what your districts are eligible is connection to CalRen. That's either directly to a hub site or between districts, colleges, and center sites, whatever is best for your network. Redundancy and diversity provided by primary and secondary circuits, which, as I mentioned, is sometimes not fully possible, but we do have plans to continue to look at those that where diversity is not great. We do provide routers and equipment, anything that's needed for the circuit installation from the CENIC side of things, annual maintenance on all of those routers and equipment replacement when things go end of life or there's any malfunction with equipment. CENIC also negotiates contracts, as I mentioned, with all the carriers on our behalf and on your behalf, and they provide emergency support and response in the event that fiber's cut or there's a fire or other natural disaster. They're the first one to get out there and get things going to figure out how to help you get back online. For colleges, the standard right now is 10 gigs. We're providing 2 10 gig circuits so that you can have a primary and secondary and the Juniper routers needed for those circuits. For centers and district offices, we're doing 1 gig circuits, also 2 a primary and secondary, and Juniper routers. The exception would be if the college has a different network topology, then we might only provide 1 at a certain site. We really work with the colleges and districts to give you what you need that'll provide the best service for you. And then at times other sites will be approved. Those are approved on a case-by-case basis and are available only as funding allows. And I think here I'm passing things off to Tim. Tim will talk about the service offerings for you.
Thank you, Cindy. Thanks for the great overview. So in terms of our service offerings, the basic offering that everyone is provided is connection to CalRen and what we call our Digital California service, and that provides you with access to the internet and to other CENIC members, including other colleges and community college districts. In addition to that, we also offer some layer 2 and layer 1 services. In terms of the layer 2 services, what we offer now is a virtual private network service called an E-line. And what that does is it allows 2 of your locations to appear to be directly connected to one another, even if there is no direct physical connection. As an example, we're currently working with Yosemite Community College District. They have 2 campuses on opposite sides of Modesto and another campus in Sonoma. We do have primary and secondary connections to CalRen from the 2 campuses that have been confirmed as diversely routed by the carrier. When we looked at then connecting the campuses directly without going to a CalRen hub site, we found it was not possible to do so without disrupting that diversity that was in place today. So we're currently working with the district to build these layer 2 services so that all 3 locations can appear to be directly connected to one another. That is known as a point-to-point layer 2 virtual private network that we call E-line. We do also have a product offering that allows you to do point to multi-point, and that is called the ELAN service. It works very similar, except it allows you to have one location that acts as a primary, or you could have 4 or 5 locations that can directly send traffic to one another without first going to a primary data center. And if you also want these services on a layer 3 routed basis, we can also provide those configurations. In the event that you have access to dark fiber between your locations, or if there's a request to build services from one community college district to another, we can also provide those across our backbone on a layer 1 or optical basis via a new offering we rolled out earlier this year. And those are known as optical spectrum services and optical services. Next slide, thank you. We do have some additional services that are not included as part of the standard membership in CENIC that the state pays for all community colleges. The first one we offer is a distributed denial of service mitigation that we call DDoS. All of the University of Californias are signed up, and 57 of the 58 county office of educations for K-12 are subscribed as well. Just from a statistics standpoint, we are seeing a lot of DDoS attacks. In the 2023 calendar year, just for Q1, we had a record number of 95 attacks with a peak attack traffic of 140 gigabits per second and 3 attacks exceeding 100 gigabits per second. In the past quarter, we had 4 attacks that exceeded 120 gigabits per second. So we see it is continuing to increase. In fact, we have one district in California that as soon as we remove them from our mitigation service, the attacks resume. So they've been in active mitigation for over 2 months at this time. We also can provide access to cloud providers. We have interest today from a couple of districts wanting to have direct connections to Oracle, and we have a couple flavors. If you just want to test out cloud services on a smaller basis, we have an agreement with our partner Internet2 that can provide you with connections to AWS, Google, and Microsoft Azure at no additional monthly recurring cost at a speed of under 5 gigabits per second. Anything above that would require an additional monthly recurring cost. And if you have other cloud providers that Internet2 cannot get you to, or if you prefer to have it directly with CENIC, we also have a CENIC Cloud Connect product, which does have a one-time cost for equipment and setup fees. And we can also connect to Oracle, Microsoft, Google, AWS, or private connections like Box, Smartsheets, and other cloud providers out there. So if you're interested, please reach out to Ken or Cindy, and we can have a meeting to discuss these additional offerings.
Thank you, Tim. And here's our contact information. If you don't already have it, you can also find it on our Tech Center website under the CENIC project. And I see we have a couple of questions. The first one, which state bill number was that that I mentioned? It's SB 156. If you go out to the Department of Technology site, the California Department of Technology site, you can find information on the broadband middle mile and last mile projects out there, as well as they have many meetings and things where you can go and get more information. But yet I am attending those meetings and monitoring those projects, watching where they're getting fiber, either purchasing or building out, so that once we have any colleges on our list that need better diversity, we can go back and look at those again. And then Tim, Anthony asked, can you speak to whether the redundancy and diversity that is being reviewed would have prevented the last major outage that impacted us all?
Certainly. Which district are you with, Anthony?
I think he's talking about when we had that router outage on the backbone
Okay,
that
so if
affected
you're
many colleges.
understood, yes. Unfortunately, that was a unique bug that was actually present in the backbone equipment that we use. That bug had existed for, I believe, 6 years, and it was a very unique circumstance that triggered that bug to be active. It related to multicast traffic. CENIC actually took the lead to work with the vendor to do an emergency patch, testing the resolution. So unfortunately, redundancy and diversity from a circuit perspective would not have prevented that outage, since it was a bug in the routing equipment that we use on our backbone.
Do we have any other questions out there? Dan says, if you are big on security, can you shut off SNMP on your edge routers?
We'll have to take that question back. I don't know if we can shut off the simple network mail protocol on our edge routers, or if that's something that we would do. But for the most part, we can make our network either closed or open. So if you do have traffic that you do not want to access the internet, we can build certain tunnels to ensure that they stay within the CENIC network and do not exit.
Any other questions? Mina Law says, can you talk more about the cloud provider and district fast connect?
So the standard offerings for the Cloud Connect through Internet 2 are if you want to have a hosted instance with Microsoft Azure, Google, or AWS. And what happens is we build a layer 2 tunnel from your district office, your college, or your data center. And then we give you access to a portal where you can manage everything yourself. In terms of Oracle Fast Connect, we have a direct connection to Oracle in Los Angeles, and we can build you a dedicated port to connect to Oracle either at a 1 gig or 10 gig speed. We don't charge any monthly recurring costs, but there is one-time setup and equipment required to make the private connection to Oracle. And then, of course, you would have your dedicated fees from Oracle on their side.
Okay, we have Carl Chu says, what is the process of exploring circuit redundancy for a college client?
In terms of exploring circuit redundancy, the first thing we will do is we will look at a geographical map of where your college resides compared to where the CENIC hub sites are. We then contact the carriers that we work with. There's about 20 that we actively work with, depending on which area of the state. Some have a presence and some do not. We then request quotes from them to give us pricing to get from your location to a couple different CENIC hub sites. Once we have a price, we then ask them for route information. Unfortunately, that route information is covered under an NDA between CENIC and the provider, so we're not able to share it. But on the CENIC side, what we're able to do is take a look at the different routes and determine if there is a physical fiber overlap. For instance, there is one college that escapes me that indicated that they had services from a cable company, and we were providing the primary connection, I believe, with Frontier. When CENIC made some inquiries, we found out that the cable company actually did not build fiber into the college, and they had instead also purchased capacity from Frontier, thus nullifying the intended redundancy. So those are the types of questions that we ask the carriers, whether they're providing it on their own fiber. And then if they are, we ask them for copies of their proposed routes so we can see how it is physically traversing over their network.
Okay, Dan has another question. He says, are there any plans to start a CalSec for security that would provide firewalls with VPN solutions for smaller districts that might not be able to afford edge firewalls?
I'll have to take that back again, but my understanding is at this time that is not being considered. Certainly, if that is a service that would be very beneficial to a lot of districts, I would suggest that you have the board members from the community college segment bring that up in the next board meeting.
Any other questions? Is there any of the information that you wanted us to go back and look at again? Yeah, Dan says that would be beneficial, especially smaller districts that get hit by ransomware regarding the CalSec. Yeah, good food for thought. Thank you, Dan. Anyone else have questions or want to look back at information that was presented? Carl asks, is 10 gig circuits available for all colleges? Yes, unless the carrier in your area is not able to provide 10 gig, then that would be the only exception. And I think we've only had that happen in one district that I can think of. How about you, Ken?
Yes, I can't think of. Yeah, I think it was just one.
So yeah, if you have a college that doesn't have a 10 gig circuit, it's likely that you're on our list for the current year. If you want to double check that with me, just reach out and I can let you know for sure that either you're on our list or I'll get you on the list. And Min, yes, the recording will be available in 5 to 10 days, Sandoval.
Yeah, that's right. We'll send notice back out to the same distribution list.
Last call for questions. Anthony asked, do you have a map that shows all the paths and hubs for Southern California? Circuit maps. Are you talking about fiber maps, like carrier fiber maps? Any connections?
We don't have a overall map that shows it because most of our work is from a logical perspective. So that is maintained in our equipment and the tools that we have. In terms of circuit maps, the only ones that we do publish are similar to the one that Cindy shared at the beginning. In terms of individual community college districts, if there's an interest, we can try to work up something. But again, we have to be careful about the non-disclosures that we have signed with the various carriers that limit what we can share. So it may just be a general route as opposed to a very specific route. We're not allowed to share some of the specific details that we do get from the carriers.
And Anthony, I do have maps for each topology, network topology maps for each district. So if you would like to look at what I have for you, you can request that and I'll email, I'll download it. I'll download a PDF and email it. I'll verify it with CENIC before I send it off to you, because they are changing as we continue to add these circuits and things like that. So yeah, anybody who wants a lot of traffic flows through LA Hub and Tustin, correct? Yeah.
Yes, LA, Tustin, and Sunnyvale are our three largest. And then the fourth one behind it is going to be Sacramento.
And Dan asks, did you remove Intermapper? I'm not sure what that is.
I also am not familiar with that tool, so we'll have to take that back and ask our operations team.
Anthony asks, how is redundancy addressed when a lot of your traffic flows through LA and Tustin?
In terms of redundancy from our backbone perspective, all of our hub sites have diverse entrances. I think with the exception of one, and that might be Palo Cedro, if I remember correctly. We have equipment that is facing at least two directions on they're in different racks fed from different power. Obviously, if there is a disaster at one location, then there is an impact to that location. But we also have MPLS routing in place that will automatically reroute the traffic where possible. The issue with the multicast bug we had is it's created what's called a black hole, so that the traffic went nowhere. So that was kind of a unique situation. But in terms of redundancy, we do our best to ensure redundancy by having multiple pieces of equipment fed by redundant power, entering and leaving the hub site on different physical fiber paths.
Also, when we're quoting a new circuit or looking at redundancy, we try and use different carriers and make sure that they're not on the same fiber. Right now, that area is not super diverse, unfortunately. But hopefully with these projects, it'll become more diverse fiber in that area. Oh, Dan, I think you're thinking of the Cricket reports. The Cricket reports that showed the links and the speeds and the status of links. Is that correct? So are you no longer able to access that, Dan? No. Okay. Okay. You can't find it. Okay. We still have access to Mike Tasillo. So I'll ask him about that, how to get you guys access if you no longer have access to it. You should all have access to those Cricket report links. Any other questions today? Well, if there aren't any other questions, we can wrap up. And if you think of anything later on, you can certainly contact me or Ken and get a conversation going or get answers for questions. I will get information on how to access those Cricut reports to see your circuit bandwidth, how much of it you're using. I believe that's what you're looking for.
Cindy, I recommend going to the last slide for your contact
Oh,
information so
yeah.
people can snap that if they want.
Yep, I'll get back to that one. There we are. Ken and I would be your main contacts.
Okay, Cindy, I'm not seeing any more questions in the chat window. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. We
Okay.
can leave your slide up for a few more minutes
Great.
after I stop the recording. And folks, if you're still in the room, we will be live. Thanks.